Welcome to another episode of the S Spot with Salty Vixen, where we talk about sex and relationships. And today's topic is called What It Means When He Stops Responding. We all understand, in this digital age where texting, voice memo sending is a very common thing. We're used to it. But in the dating world, whether you're in a relationship or just starting one or swipe right and swipe left, it gets frustrating when the person you thought you had a great connection with stops responding. So here's the reader's question who sent to Salty Vixen. Dear Salty Vixen, the guy I've been dating recently started ignoring my texts and phone calls. But he's not saying anything about it when we're together. What does this mean? I need some dating advice, fast. So the answer to your question is simple, as this is a question that all of us have in this world today. So he's ignoring your calls and texts because, he just doesn't want to talk to you. How hard is it to pick up the phone after all? Not hard at all. If he wanted to, he would. He doesn't, and he's not. But you're not getting the message. He's not saying anything to you when you're together because he isn't interested in having conversation with you. Too simple to be true? No, it's not. It's too true to be less simple. If he wanted to have a conversation with you, he could. Hey, how's your day going? It's not that hard to utter. Or, how's your job? How's your family? I really want to tell you about my day. Easy. If he wants to, but he doesn't. And he's not. So why aren't you getting the message? Because you have a bigger problem. You're thinking he's going to respond the same way you would. Only men respond differently than women do. And as a woman, it drives us crazy, us women crazy. And we're like, how many of us women have you gone to your male friends? Oh my gosh, I texted him this morning. I haven't heard back from him. What's going on? Things are going great. It fizzed out. I had a friend actually recently tell me, a guy friend said, Salty, why do you analyze everything? Chill out. My head's going crazy with everything you're saying. But women, we tend to analyze. That's why we're great at writing stories. And by the way, a study found about erotica writing, about 41% of the books out there are written by women. That's how great and detailed we are. We get very naughty when we want to be, don't we? But it's also our superpower to overanalyze. And as a result, there's more women who are podcasters and journalists than there are men. Because we're good at that sort of thing. Men are afraid of women, if you think about it, because we are intelligent. We have common sense. And I'm saying, in fact, it feels like that way. And maybe I could be wrong in that, right? All right, back to the topic. So anyways, we're going to give a couple of things to look into. First, never call or text a man to ask him out. Never make the first move. Never propose a man. And never initiate phone calls that are not returning his. And the ones you do want to return, don't return them right away. And don't return all of them. And you know how it is today when you get a text. Ding, you got a text from the guy you're fancying, you like. Your interest. And because we're glued to our phones, we have it next to us. Or, it's always near us, right? You want to respond right away. But it's not always a good thing. This is something my grandmother taught me in the 90s. And this is before texting was a thing. And this is typical advice. We tend to rush things. Don't do that. So anyways, you're probably asking yourself why I'm saying this. Because this may seem foreign to you, but the truth is that men love to hunt and catch everything. They love to conquer. And the second you're too easy to catch, they're going to move on to someone or something else. Swipe right and swipe left. The feminist movement did all women wrong when they touted equality in all arenas. The truth is that men and women are very different. They are not equal, and to treat each other as equals is to misunderstand men and women. So start understanding men and women, and you'll know that they do things differently, and they think differently, and they want different things and behaviors from their partners than they do from themselves. Second, as a woman, you have to understand man-think. That's what I call it. For instance, when he ignores your calls, he's sending you a clear message, or rather, that's what he thinks he's doing. What you think is, what's wrong with him? He must be afraid of commitment. He doesn't like me. He used me. I'm too easy. Like, you start thinking that way. You're like, we haven't really, done anything that major yet. And maybe you have. Who knows? Anyways, he's got a deep-seated problem with women, and he can't return my calls because he's psychologically scared, etc., etc. And you know how it is. Women, we start analyzing like crazy. Well, the thing is, men don't. They're pretty simple creatures. You have to understand them, and most of us women don't. And it doesn't help with, TikTok. I'm sorry, TikTok is a way to, it's like a podcast. Oh, I'm angry. I've had a bad day today. I have a great day. Oh, my dating life is this. Oh, this whole cisgender movement. I'm so sick of hearing. But it's. By the way, I am not a cisgender. I am a woman. So I will make that very clear. A lot of us women don't want to hear that cis word. I'm just saying. But that's the whole point. The feminist movement, the woke feminist movement, is teaching women that we're in charge. I mean, once you're married, it's a different story. You tend to be in charge because, my grandmother wore the trousers in the family at that point. But when she's dating my grandfather, she let him be the hunt. She was the catch. And that's how it was for every generation. And it's a good thing because men are craving that. They want a strong, independent woman, but they also want a woman who is sexy and, who is very, fun at the same time. Third, if you were thinking, but we've had great sex and he still doesn't call me, listen up. He will sleep with you because, you allow it. And he won't call you because he doesn't want to. It's pretty simple, really. Great sex is important, but it's not enough to make a man stay interested, monogamous and committed. He wants a woman that is the prize, so that when he makes you his woman, he can feel proud. So my suggestion to you is to move on and get a handle on with your life. If he sees you looking great, have fun and being successful at life, he'll want you more. By that time, you may or may not be interested in him, but most likely, he'll have to wait in line. Because if you become the kind of woman who thinks and dates like a man, you'll have men lining up for you, and you'll have your choice. Choose well. Now, before I end this podcast, I will tell you a quick story about a man I dated years ago. I got out of my marriage, divorced, and went on a dating app. Him and I were chatting. And, when you're divorced or after breakup, your mind is not 100% there. It's fragile. So, just let you know, when you break up or go through divorce, wait a bit before actually jumping on to the next person. That's great advice. So, I went on a date with him. Everything was great, going well. And he, after a couple of weeks of dating, he was expecting sex. And I don't do hookups. I've never partaked in it. And I never will. And before you go, oh, Salty, you're prudish. No, not. I'll tell you why. The main thing is I don't want to be a hussy or a slut. Yes, we have needs. They're toys. Sex toys are wonderful. And there's a whole bunch of them. And I review them on my site, saltyvixenstories.com occasionally. But, you can masturbate. Yes, it gets boring after a while, but at least you get it out of your system. The reason why I don't do hookups simply is because I don't want to get STD. See, condoms doesn't stop everything 100%. You still can get pregnant. You still could catch an STD. And the problem is how many times, especially in your 40s, when you go on a date with a man, he may tell you he slept with 2 women. He probably had 8 women. When's the last time he's been checked? When have you been checked? We don't think about that. In fact, I saw something on TikTok recently. A fellow in his 20s at college or university right now. I think he's transitioning to a woman, I believe. Anyway, he announced that he has HIV. This is how the woke world's becoming. We have sex education that's failing the system. The schools, and parents are not talking about sex that much because the woke world is talking about sex to the point they don't talk about protection. It's like we're going back in time. Why? Why don't we talk about how important it is for protection and how important hookups are not the ideal thing anymore. It really never is, really. I mean, if you're into it, that's fine. But you can do other things than have penetration. Making out. You can have the man finger the woman. And that's fun, isn't it? Oh my gosh, having been fingered in the cars is a lovely thing. I'm saying it is. And there's nothing wrong. It's healthy. And of course, the man getting a blowjob. Again, you have to be careful about catching STDs or catching things orally. Because if a man is sick and he hasn't cleaned down there, you could catch it. There's a lot of research on that. So always be careful before you jump into 50 Shades of Grey Hollywood life. Because sex is wonderful. It's great. And we all need it. We all desire it. But we don't need to go and do the hookup thing. And trust me, when I'm in a full-blown relationship, because I'm single again, so much fun, that man's going to be very happy in that relationship because I write about sex. I write about great relationships because my grandparents had raised me to be a lady. And there's nothing wrong with being a lady. A lady means you're a strong woman, but you're also feminine. You have feminine idealism. And that's how it should be. Let the man chase you. You're the hunt. And that, like I said before, after a while, when you're in that relationship, the woman becomes the one in the trousers because we run the house. The man makes the money, gives good sex. Woman reciprocates good sex. Women also can make the money. It's an option. But we're also great cooks. And we're great at seducing our man because we know what we want. And they know what they want. All right, my lovelies. Until next S-Spot with Salty Vixen, have a lovely day. Goodbye.